Hello, testing, 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 testing. Is this thing on? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shady Monkey Show. Yo, welcome to the Shady Monkey Show. A big thanks to our sponsor, Oriental Distilling Company, for the beautiful gin. And speaking of, we have Andy Urban,
The less beautiful man.
the creator of this beautiful product.
Yep.
Yeah, man, how's it going?
Good. My glass is empty.
Yeah, I think we need to fix that first.
Well, let me pour you. Do the honors.
You know, like I have a tendency to like pour too heavy. So I'm curious.
But you know me, right?
Yeah. See, this is what I would do. I'd pour like to cover the ice, or like the ice level. It was about. You think this is about like a shot and a half?
Be about a shot and a half. It's not that much. Do you want some more?
No, that's good.
No, I'll pour myself.
So, but like I knocked one of the guests out.
Yeah, I know. I think you knocked DJ. What's his name? Again?
We don't need to put names out there.
It's all right.
And your favorite tonic?
Yeah, let's not talk about tonic water, but anyway, maybe next time we'll get different tonic water.
Yeah, I've already put in the order for a different. Should I fill it?
Yeah, that'll do. So
I've already put in an order for a different kind of tonic because I didn't know anything about.
I don't need a garnish. I'm all right.
Yeah, so I love it with the lemon. Yeah. Maybe it's not so good.
No, it's works pretty well with lemon. It's quite a dry gin, I guess.
So, what's your background on distilling, and how did this brand like come to life?
Yeah, well, I guess at the end of the day...
well, let's fucking cheers first.
So thirsty. Oh, cheers. Good stuff. So, yeah, pretty much my great-granddad back in Hungary, he was a master distiller and brewer. That's going back like 100-something years.
Master distiller?
Master distiller and master brewer.
And master brewer.
Yeah,
so he was making alcohol and
beer. So
beer.
Back in the day, there wasn't like many distilleries or breweries in Hungary. So pretty much it was like one central place where they're making different beers for the entire country.
Like different brands and stuff?
Yeah, different brands. Sort of like Owen and all that sort of stuff. That place doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. Closed down many years ago. But yeah, so my dad picked up distilling and brewing from there as well. I was a little bit more keen on it because in Australia we have very high tax rates on alcohol. So if you can make your own, you save a lot of money, I guess. And yeah, so from there, that was like 10 years ago now since I've been distilling and brewing. So
your grandfather was doing this professionally?
Yeah, that was like a home brewer, home distiller.
And your grandfather, he was like just a worker in the factory, or was that his?
No, so he was like one of the floor managers. So he was in charge of the stills and malts and lots of stuff. So it was like overseeing other people to make sure that the distillers were okay and the beer was good and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
And then your dad just kind of grew up around that, and
yeah, well.
And then started doing it like as a home hobby?
Yeah, it's sort of like a home hobby, making palinko, which is like Eastern European type of drink made from fermented fruits and stuff.
Palinko?
Palinka. So palinka is like, you can call it like Eastern European schnapps or rakia, which is also sort of like a Croatian, Serbian type of schnapps.
Sure.
So that's made mainly from fermented fruits like plum or pretty much anything. You can ferment anything. You can ferment peas and make gin out of peas if you want. It tastes quite good. Just on. But yeah, so in Australia, I picked it up as a bit of a more professional thing than what my dad was doing. I wanted to open my own distillery in Australia, but licensing is too expensive. And setting up everything in Australia is like $5 million US roughly. And
just for the equipment, for the license.
Yeah, for equipment, license, running costs, branding, all sorts of stuff. So you're looking around $5 million. You can do it cheaper, but you won't have a fantastic brand at the end of the day.
Right.
You do need to set yourself with a little bit of a cushion because in distilling, brewing, a lot of things go wrong. So it's good to have a little bit of cash flow there. But in terms of opening a distillery in China, it's a lot more forgiving. Your certificates and equipment costs and staffing costs is a lot less, and most importantly, the bureaucracy is a lot less. So for us, we can bang out new products very easily and have all the official certificates and everything very easily. Whereas in Australia, it's a long process. It takes quite a bit of time, unfortunately.
A lot of like red tape and
A lot of red tape. I mean, because it's highly taxed in Australia, alcohol is highly taxed. I mean, we're looking 96% tax on a liter of alcohol, pure alcohol, which is a lot. It's massive.
That's huge.
So, yeah,
96%.
It's the second highest in the world as far as I'm concerned. I think Norway is a little bit higher. Let me double check those facts, but I think that's around there. So I can actually buy, just give you an example. I mean, we make a lot of good gin in Australia as well. Four Pillars, they have a very large distillery in Australia, and their gin is actually more expensive in the distillery than to buy it on Taobao or buy it in the shop here in China, which is a bit crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. And especially for people who like to drink alcohol, I mean, it's becomes an expensive hobby. Yeah.
So it's more expensive to buy it in like the home country,
Yeah.
or from them directly,
Well, yeah,
than it is to buy it
yeah, and that's a big issue with the taxation.
exported to a different country across the ocean,
or air freighted as well,
or air freight,
Yeah.
whatever.
So
But a different country,
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous. And so you were like, when you were like a kid, your father would be like making stuff.
Yeah, so pretty much it was like
And would
growing up with bits and pieces like homemade wines or homemade schnapps or beer. He wasn't that much into the beer side of things. That's more me. 'Cause I like craft beer a lot. So there's a lot of good craft beer in China, so there's no need for another brand of craft beer. But at the time when I entered the Chinese market, there wasn't. Well, there's pretty much only one or two gin brands, and I thought there's no one in Guangdong doing it. So yeah, let's do that. Let's open something in Guangdong and suss it out, try something new. So yeah.
And was your grandfather around you when you were a kid? Like
not much, because he lived in Sweden, I lived in Australia, so we visited him a few times. He was definitely the inspiration. I mean, when I asked him about should we be doing this project, is it a smart project? He said, well, yeah, fucking hell, why not? It's not that big of a deal. I mean,
is he still alive?
Unfortunately, he did pass away last year, but yeah.
Did he get to try your product before?
Unfortunately, not. No, that's a bit of a sad point, a mute point, that he wasn't able to try the product. But that's due COVID regulation. We weren't able to fly back to Sweden.
Sure.
It is what it is. But hopefully he'll be able to try it one day. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, it'd be cool to like. I was just curious, like, what if you did try it, like, what his reaction was. Like, oh, you did good, son, or like, oh, this is.
Well, my dad likes it, but I'm sure my granddad would be like, that's shit. Yeah, he'd just be like, you can do better. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, a lot of people like it. My parents like it. So they drink it.
It's good. It's great gin. Like gin has always been like my kind of drink of choice when going out, just because I feel it's like I don't like whiskey. I don't like strong tasting alcohols. I don't really like to taste the alcohol when I drink. And gin.
Oh, you're different to me then. I love to taste the alcohol.
Yeah. See. Well, I just don't. Maybe I'm describing the.
No, I know what you mean. It's more that feeling you don't want the drink to punch you in the face. And
right, like a whiskey
or something
like
that.
whiskey on the rocks, like
straight tequila. I mean.
Yeah, well, shots are meant to be that way,
They're
but
fast,
like so, and then once we discovered your brand, I've pretty much been drinking it ever since.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. It's a different brand, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very, very well made. Like the branding, the bottle.
You don't need to bullshit.
No, I'm serious. No, like when you look at it, it looks like a very high end product. Not like something that was put together in somebody's garage. Not that I'm not saying it was put together in a garage, but
kind of was put together in a garage in the beginning. But yeah,
for sure. I mean, most things start like. I mean, if you look at like Apple, Apple started in his fucking garage. But I'm saying my point is like it's very outstanding and it looks very high quality.
Well, the aim of the brand is to make something fun. I mean, gin, as you said, it's a fun drink. It's not meant to be taken as seriously as whiskey,
right?
Or even wine or whatever. So
people are very diehard about whiskey.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's why we do a lot of these craft beer events. I mean, for us, we find that craft beer people are our target market. I mean, they like to try new things all the time. They like refreshing drinks, and they generally like to drink more than your non-drinking type of person. So, gin is a new category in China. It's just in its infancy. I mean, there's only a handful of brands, us included. But the good thing is we can change flavors fairly quickly, so you can produce something funky or, seasonal or, we do a lot of like corporate stuff as well. So wherever someone would come to us with an idea for a brand or a gin flavor, and we make that for them as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. So like you were sitting in Australia, you were thinking about, you had the idea up your butt that you wanted to make an alcohol brand, and this is what you wanted to do.
Well, initially I wanted to bring whiskey to China, which we're still doing now, but it's taking time because whiskey has to be aged, and I'm doing it properly. So it's not going to be cheap Chinese whiskey. It's going to be sort of craft Chinese whiskey, very high end.
So you were thinking
cheap.
whiskey before gin.
Generally, when you start a distillery, you should always look at which direction you want to go, whether you want to go brown spirits or beer. And then the white spirits, they sort of, I should say, they bounce off those two. So, for instance, you have, like Brewdog, they do spirits as well, but beer is their main thing. They're now getting into whiskey as a sort of late stage idea, but generally speaking, you want to sort of figure out which avenue to go. So with beer, you can produce it fast, you can deliver it to masses quite quickly, you can change up the flavor. With whiskey, you don't really know how good it is until, it's been aged and the final product is ready. And that takes 3 years, which costs a lot of money. So gin is sort of like a precursor, keeps the company afloat, and it's quite variable as well. It's quite changeable. So yeah, it's a good stepping stone into whiskey. Yeah.
So then what, you were trying to do in Australia, you realized that it was just way too much money.
I didn't even try to do it, so I looked into it.
Well, you looked into it, you were thinking about it.
Yeah,
right?
because we got a lot of friends there, they're distilleries and all that. And, I was looking into if I opened one myself, in Western Sydney, which at the time there was no. So when I was in Australia, there's maybe like a handful of distilleries around. Now there's, I think, 20, 25 just in Sydney alone. Some of them are big, some of them are small. But yeah, there was none then. I thought, okay, let's look into this. And I just got to about the certificate stage, because I already knew the equipment costs and all that, but the certificate stage, I was just like, yeah, it's quite a bit of money involved, a lot of planning, a lot of red tape, and that's a lot of investment straight away without seeing any return for quite a while. So I thought, well, let's have a look at China. I've never been to China. Let's have a suss around. Let's do a bit of a tour around China, see what's there, and realize there's jack shit here. So let's do something.
You flew to China just to kind of
just suss it out. So I initially
survey the landscape of the land.
Yeah, so before COVID, we're planning to do like a craft beer event in Macau, because Macau at that point in time never had.
From Australia?
Yeah, from Australia. So it would be Australian breweries, going to Macau to showcase products and have a beer festival and whatnot between the casinos and all that. But then that didn't work out, unfortunately, due to a number of different reasons, red tape as well. But I thought, okay, there's definitely some movement, something happening here. Let's just have a look around the rest of China. Let's see what's happening. Can we do something here? Does it have to be beer? I thought, okay, well, there's no gin. Gin is fun. It's, fairly straightforward. Everyone knows what gin is if they drink gin.
Would you say gin is easy to make comparatively
So to make gin is, I'll be very frank with you, man. You made gin. Making gin is easy. Making good commercial gin that's, craft commercial gin that's constantly the same flavor, keeping consistency, that's very hard to do. There's not one gin flavor. So at the end of the day, every gin is different. So my flavor profiles for all of our products are different to other people's gin flavors. So it's very much like craft beer as well, just stronger. That's all.
But so when you talk about gin, right? Pretty much all gins are using the same base alcohol.
Okay, so there's 2 ways of making gin. You can make your own ferment and make your own pure alcohol, NGS, what we call it, which would mean you're fermenting something, whether it's grain or malt or whatever, and then you purify it to a very high standard, so about 96% ABV, which is through a column still. So it pretty much removes all the flavor. It just makes a very strong vodka. Now, to do that, even on a fairly large commercial scale, is very expensive because you need to ferment a lot of product, and it takes time to get the pure alcohol. So what about 99% of gin distilleries around the world use? We use something called NGS. And what that is, it's a very strong vodka that we buy from a third party. And that is a very pure quality.
NGS stands for what?
Neutral grain spirit.
Neutral grain spirit.
Yeah, so neutral grain spirit is pretty much a very strong vodka, no flavor, and then we add the botanicals to that prior to distillation, and that's what gives you the flavor of your gin. Yeah.
So like a Bombay Sapphire.
Yeah.
The same.
So Bombay Sapphire is exactly the same concept. a lot of people
The
are surprised.
NGS?
Yeah, they're trucking NGS. I think every week they're trucking about 15 to 20 tons. Sorry, don't quote me on those figures. It's a lot. But it's like 2 or 3 truckloads of NGS, and then they just make the gin out of that. So they put it through a coffee still, and then at the end of the coffee still, there's a little gin basket where they put all the little botanicals.
So who's doing it the first way you described with the malts and...
So generally speaking, we refer to that as a Genevieve or old school gin style. So there'll be like what they call Dutch courage back in the day. Not many people are doing that. I know Bowles is doing that to make that type of Genevieve. It's quite an intense flavor because even on a moderate scale, it's very hard to remove all the flavoring compounds to 96%. So you still have a little bit of something left.
like the malt flavor?
A bit of malt or a bit of, whatever. I mean, if you make it sort of grappa or like grappa, you'll have a bit of that sort of a grape flavor as well in there.
Is also a more expensive way to make it?
It's a lot more expensive. It's probably about 30 times more expensive to make than using NGS. So, some people say it's cheating. I don't think it's cheating because at the end of the day, everyone's doing it like that. For our whiskey, no. For our whiskey, we do have to ferment, beer and distill it the proper way with pot stills and all that. But with gin, because you're really relying on the botanicals to make the gins shine. It's not necessarily about... The alcohol has to be very pure, so you can use that as the base for the gin. Yeah.
And so for your gin, you're making the alcohol yourself?
Not for the gin, but for the whiskey, yes.
For the whiskey.
For the whiskey, yes.
When you started doing this in China, the first thing you had to do is find a supplier for this NGS.
That was a pain in the ass because there's a lot of factories that make NGS, but the grades and quality are very, very different.
Sure.
We've had, first of all, when we started, we're looking at different suppliers and they sent us samples, and I'd say about 90% of the samples were corrupted in some way or contaminated. A lot of them said that it's pure wheat or pure corn or whatever, but you get that sort of Baijiu-esque-ness to it, which can mean one of two things. Either they didn't clean the stills properly between different distillations, or they're cheating by using a cheaper rice base or something like this. So it's hard to find the good quality NGS, but we found it and we're pretty happy with that. So it's probably the NGS that I'd say 80% of the current gin distillers in China are using. They're all probably gone down the same path as me to find
the right guy.
It's not really hard. I mean, they're one of the bigger sort of companies in China, but you have to do your homework. You have to figure out what is good and what's bad. So the distiller has to sniff it, taste it, and go, okay, we can use that, or no, that's rubbish, or whatever. So
yeah, I mean that's like it's the foundation of the product, right? Mm-hmm. So and then so you've decided that you want to do it. You're like you checked out the scene in China. Mm-hmm. You're like, you know what? Let's move here and start it up. Or were you like still in Australia, like doing like testing and getting like different NGS samples?
Nah, not at all. So when I was back in Australia after the China trip, I just thought straight away, oh shit, we should do something there. I mean, it's a new market. Gin is obviously not a massive product. I mean, let's be honest. Even by worldly standards, what would you drink more, whiskey or gin? I mean, most people would say whiskey, but. Right. Australia does definitely a trend, especially back in the day, that a lot of people were drinking gin as a healthier alternative to beer. I'm not saying tonic water is healthy, but if you have a gin soda, calories a lot less than gin tonic or equivalent beer. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people gravitate towards gin, because gin is it's very versatile. There's a lot of different flavors. Bartenders can use it. People can drink it straight, or soda, tonic, whatever you want to do. So there's a growing trend there. I thought, okay, if that hits China, then I want to be there for that. But there's still a lot of work involved in all that. So we sold the property and packed up all of our belongings and shipped over to China. And so that was it.
Were you nervous? Were you a little like...
I wasn't nervous until...
Like you sold your house? And like when you say property...
Yeah. So at the end of the day, well, you need money to fund your little distilling dream, right? Mm-hmm. So I had to do that. And that was a hard point, I guess, to sort of move the entire family across, not living here, not really knowing too much about China. It's a bit of a crash lander, you could say, but we worked through it.
So it's like you sold the house. You're like, fuck it, we're gonna sell the house.
Yeah,
we're gonna go take this money.
Why the fuck are you doing? So,
invest it in bottles and and alcohol.
Yeah, and equipment and all that. So yeah, that's pretty much where we got to. And then a couple of months later, some COVID sort of started rearing its head, and then that put another little spanner in the works, you could say. But we actually soldiered through COVID quite well, I'd say. I think it was surprising how well we did during all the lockdowns and all the that sort of stuff. So yeah.
I can't remember. Did I meet you during COVID or is it before?
I think you met me first time before COVID.
Just
we were
before?
sort of just starting up. Yeah.
Like in it was I know it was a Compass event.
It was only during COVID. I don't remember. We did like 1 or 2 Compass events. I think maybe the first time I met you was
It was at a Compass event.
before
I think
COVID. Yeah, I think it was before COVID. Yeah,
must have been like just before
yeah, that's
before COVID was about to hit.
that's even before we set up our gin school. Yeah, that's when we had a temporary gin school in one of the Zhuhai bars. Yeah, and then we brought it all across. Yeah. So that was just before COVID. Yeah,
Like the fall of what the fuck year? 99? 1999? What am I?
99.
2019. Like the fall of
2019. Got
2019.
there. Cheers. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. Wow, you're drinking faster than a distiller. Not bad. Do I need to
Yeah.
pour another one?
Yes, please.
No, not much left in that one.
Oh, I think we
Tiddler? Ah, sorry.
it's still got some. Can't let it go to waste. See?
There we are. Top it up a little bit more.
So, do you regret it?
No, not at all. Actually, it's one of those sort of things. It's a bit of adventure in life. I mean, it's not to say it's without its challenges, but it's interesting. China is a very dynamic market, so when one door closes, another one opens. I mean, COVID opened a few doors, closed a few doors, so
Yeah, I think it's a challenge to start a new brand, a new business. I think, especially with a startup alcohol brand, when you're competing with like the big boys in a country that loves brands,
yeah,
like everybody like drinks, their Hennessy or their XO or
Johnny Walker
or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So, like when you go back to the States, right, you have so many choices of what you want to drink at the bar, but here it's like
It's a bit limited, yeah.
every bar has like the same 3 gins,
Well, that's the idea. Like, so I saw the explosion of craft beer in China, and I saw that people are taking to that quite readily. So even obviously we've just done the event the last 3 days here in Shenzhen, and we've seen a lot of young people that have no idea what craft beer is. They barely drink beer, but they came in there enthusiastically, asking questions, trying different things. And I guess they went away with a better understanding of what craft beer is. And there's no such thing as a bad craft beer. It's just whether it fits your flavor profile. Maybe somebody likes a light craft beer or a black type of craft beer, whatever. So, and that's where gin sort of fits in. So our idea is, for cocktail bars to have more diversity in terms of what they're mixing. I mean, mixing a cheap gin into a 100 RMB plus cocktail doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if I go to a bar, I'm happy to pay, 500-600 for a cocktail, but then I want to use top shelf stuff. And unfortunately, that sort of ideology in China is not there yet. It's getting there slowly. I mean, there's good bars popping up left, right, and center, using, I'm not saying necessarily craft stuff, but also better quality, base ingredients, base alcohols, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
And you consider yourself a craft gin?
Well, yeah, we're definitely a craft gin. I mean, we're not making 500,000 bottles a year. Yeah, we're doing okay, but it would be nice to sell a little bit more, obviously, but it's all about marketing, branding as well. So that's the biggest challenge in China. I mean, coming from Australia, we probably spent like 20% on branding. Here it's more like 60-70% on branding. Promotion, not branding.
So like 40% is like production costs, and then 60% is like
in China, which is
promotional.
Insane. It's insane. Yeah.
Well, I think honestly, I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty standard.
I think it's standard in China.
Even all over the world, for example, like the book business, right? It's very you'll spend so much amount of money to produce a book just to have the book in your hands, right? But then if you want the book to sell,
True.
right? You're gonna have to spend, and that's what a lot of like first time authors they don't realize is that like, okay, they have the book's printed and it's done and it's they expect that people are just gonna go to the bookstores and buy it,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, no.
So there's an extra layer, well, in our industry, I guess, for alcohol. I mean, people have to know what it is that they're drinking first. And a lot of people have no idea what gin is. So then you have
Even in Australia?
No, in Australia, it's very easy. In Australia, just rock up in the car boot market, you just say, I have a new gin brand you want to try. And people go, oh, yeah. And they'll line up to have a free try, right? Here you have a free try. They're like, what's this? It's gin. What's gin? Oh, it's like Guelo by Joe. Oh.
What does that mean? Like medicine by Joe?
Yeah, like medicine by Joe. It's like, juniper, I mean, we all know juniper is very healthy. I mean, helps with arthritis and all that. And, tastes like pine and lemon and all that sort of stuff. It's good stuff. But pushing it as a medicine probably doesn't work. But
that's the wrong approach.
It's probably we wouldn't push it as a medicine. I mean, look, if you want to loosen up a date or something like this, it's a good choice. I mean,
especially the raspberry gin.
Oh, raspberry gin, yeah, of course. That's not a sweet gin, by the way. That's quite an intense berry gin. So if you want sweet gin, well, I don't make it, unfortunately. So
no, but I mean that one was. I don't know. That one was just extra smooth.
Thank you, man.
Maybe I poured it light, but when we drank it, like everybody, everybody had a cup and they all loved it. And these girls, they don't drink.
Well, it's good to see the crew, getting stuck into that because they don't look like the big drinkers like you and me, right?
No, they're definitely not. But like every Friday or Saturday, we bust out a.
No, that's good. That's a good office habit. Though. Should do it more.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we used to do in the U.S., right? Like Friday. It's Happy Friday.
Yeah, but here in Shenzhen, everything's OT, man. They don't even get a chance to drink. You need to have one of those little, what you call it, flasks in the office. Yeah.
we just got bottles in the office. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
I want to say I love the branding.
Thank you.
Where does the fish come in?
All right, so this is going to be a bit of a polarizing question, I guess. But so,
well, it's just like Oriental Distilling Company. I get it, right? Oriental, because we're in Asia, I assume.
Yes.
Or maybe there's a different meaning that I don't know.
There is a few different meanings to
right?
that, but yeah.
Distilling, because you're distilling alcohol, right?
Yeah.
So the fish.
Yeah.
All
right, so I have a background. I wanted to become a marine biologist a long time ago.
Okay.
Like we're going back years. And
before your big dreams of
before
of becoming
running
a
an
distiller?
alcohol company and all that. Yeah.
Right.
So I like diving and all that, and I also like fishing. And one of the fish that we have pretty much in the Pacific Ocean is called a Maori wrasse or hump-headed wrasse, or what they call in Cantonese soulmate. Which is the fish.
Soulmate?
Well, that's another concept we're working with. So, we're made for your soul because we, liquidate your soul with, or not liquidate, sorry. Liquidate's not the word.
But what's the fish name? Soulmate?
Soulmate.
So it almost sounds like soulmate.
Yeah, so it's, it's a very friendly reef fish. It's quite a large fish. So it goes to about like 1.8 meters.
Is that the fish with like the blue or pink lips? Almost look like kissing lips?
Yeah, blue lips, sexy lips. Yeah, that's the one. That's the
okay.
one. They're very friendly. So a bit of a background to it. They're very friendly with divers. Unfortunately, they also taste rather good. And now they are critically endangered thanks to overfishing. I mean, especially the Hong Kong market, they were overfishing them in the early 2000s for the...
Because they taste so good?
Yeah, they're very expensive fish. I mean, per kilo, you're looking like $100 US plus.
Wow.
It's quite expensive fish. Unfortunately, very endangered, very hard to breed in captivity. But the reason I chose that as our icon, not because they're friendly or they're tasty, we have a blue gin, which was in that bottle, but there's no more of it.
We have some down there. Half empty.
Yeah, so you can see here, the label is pink and blue. So the gin side is blue. When you add your tonic water, it turns pink.
Yeah.
From the citric acid in tonic water, it's a bit of a gimmicky thing. It's very popular with the ladies, that one. It just tastes like a boring normal gin, but it looks interesting.
I like it. Also, I like that gin too for the podcast and the video because it's like very instead of having like a white glass, we're
Looks
all
different. Yeah,
it looks different.
Pink and interesting. So back to the fish. So this is a very interesting fish. It changes gender. So it starts off as female, brown, boring.
Like Americans.
Yeah, literally. So it starts as a brown, boring female thing with a couple of blue stripes, around the eyes. Still quite a very pretty looking fish. Equally tasty. Males and females taste equally good. I'm not promoting eating it, by the way. Endangered species. But
you did have it once or twice.
I had it once in my life before I knew what it was. But anyway, so as it grows, it changes gender. So what happens is on a reef.
So this is a natural thing. Like it is like when it turns like 3 years old, it's going to go through this gender changing phase.
It's not for every fish. So what happens is...
so some will stay the original gender?
Yeah, so you have a reef ecosystem. And because this is a pelagic fish, it's sorry, not pelagic fish, but it's one of the main predators on the reef. You'll have a couple of bold individuals, the biggest, having territories on the reef. Now, the smaller fish, they obviously don't become territorial. They just
become women?
breed. Yeah, stay as breeding harems, whatever. But when the male on the reef dies, the next biggest female, would change gender and become male.
So they all start as female?
There's a mix. So we still have a mix of males and females, but those males, what we call, in simplistic terms, they're called like runts. So they never really become dominant on the reef, so they don't get to mate with the females, or they can. I mean,
can they switch to females?
Some can, some can't. So we're still looking into it from a scientific perspective as to why some fish change gender quickly and some don't. So we're not really sure about that yet.
So all the females can change into a male if they want to.
If they want to. Males can't change back to female, unfortunately, as much as we want that.
But some males can and some males can't.
So males don't change to female.
Once
they become male, they
are... So what are they born as? They're not born as male or female?
So they are born as male, but they're not the alpha dominant male.
No, okay, so these fish are born as either male or female from the beginning.
Yeah, but it's usually the most dominant female, the largest female, that then changes gender.
So only the female can change to male. The males can't go back.
No, the males can't go back. So once you get the chop, then
the
grow. Sorry. Cheers. Sorry. I lived in Thailand for 4 years. I can't get that right. Jesus Christ.
They get a little growth spurt.
Yeah, a little growth spurt there. Yeah, grow a few appendages or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the idea was to have a fish we can talk about. A lot of people go, "Oh, so why a fish?" I'm like, well, either you drink like a fish or you don't. If you don't, you probably don't drink gin. So.
That's the easy
version. But yeah, it's a funky fish, and from our logo, I mean, on our bottle, we've taken different parts of the fish. So the reason they call this, in the common English name, Maori wrasse, as you know, in New Zealand they have the native Maori people.
So all the patterns are designed from the fish scales.
So literally, we've taken a photo of adult fish
of this fish
that fish. Yeah, it's actually the photographer has done all the photography in our little booklet. He's the guy who took that photo on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. And we're taking different sections of the fish. Some is from the fin, some is from the scales, some is from around the eye pattern. So you can actually see it behind you. You can see it's got all different sort of tattoo markings, sort of like a Maori, which is why it's called a Maori wrasse at the end of the day.
Oh, so all these patterns on the label come from... That's amazing.
They're not created patterns. These are all we're just taking a square off the fish.
From a photograph.
From a photograph, yeah. And then just colorized it to whatever product we have. So it's pretty slick, yeah.
That's so cool.
Another fun thing. So our bottle top, you can see our bottle top. It's blue. So juvenile Maori wrasse or hump-headed wrasse, they're blue bones. Mm-hmm. So that's why I chose to have a blue cork. But to have a food grade blue cork in China is apparently a very hard thing to do. That was the hardest part of the endeavor because I wanted it and I got it, but that was a hard slog to get that.
So you're saying that to make that cork was harder than
anything else
to make the bottle
in the entire company? Because to find a factory that could do it that food grade with alcohol, because alcohol leaches, so
it pulls out
all the chemicals or whatever plastic you have or any metal you have. If you have any contaminants or anything that's not food grade, it'll drag it out. So we had to find a manufacturer, and they're the only ones, as far as I know, in the entire world that can do that sort of thing. And they also do it for another company that also makes spirits.
So this is what represents which part of the fish?
The bones. So it's got blue bones.
So it's got blue bones.
Yeah. So when they're small, like sort
only
of
when they're small.
plate size. Don't know why I'm using that terminology. They're endangered. Don't use plate size. But when they're plate size, they have a blue sort of structure in the bones. Yeah. So
And when they get older, they turn to white.
yeah, well, white, pink, yeah.
Bone color.
Bone color, yeah. But some adults do have blue bones as well, which is a weird thing. So we're still not sure why that is the case, but I'm sure somebody smart will find it out at some stage.
So this is, I mean, like, I must have opened these bottles dozens, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
I don't want to say hundreds, dozens of times. I never
Hundreds
even,
would be nice, but
okay.
dozens is good.
Maybe after 10, 20 more podcasts, all right?
Yeah.
But I never even noticed
No,
That-
you know.
that this thing was like a blue cork.
Yeah, so this is the thing. A lot of people ask me, why is it blue? I just say, well, because
I never even
the fish
noticed
is blue
it.
bones, man. Like it's small details like that. I just wanted to make sure that people tie in what our brand is about. At the end of the day.
Real wood,
Oh, that's just some shit wood. I don't know what the fuck that is.
just wood.
Wood. Food grade paint. But wood, yeah.
So, before you had the name,
Mm-hmm.
did you already have the fish concept in your brain?
All right, so I have to be honest. The fish concept was my business partner's concept, and I just took it a little bit further.
Who's
So,
your business partner?
It's a guy from Zhuhai, Lao Huang. Everyone knows him in the beer industry. He's pretty good. He's got some fun, good beer.
I've never met him. Or maybe I have.
He
But
probably has beer at some stage, maybe when you guys are in Zhuhai or whatever. But yeah, so he had the concept of the fish. He likes fish as well. And I thought, okay, so the fish that he chose was quite ugly. So I thought, okay, because
So-
I like this fish and it makes more sense to, have it. Because we actually invented, we didn't invent it, but we made the blue gin before anything else in the company. We thought, okay, so how do we tie that in? I mean, it's a funky thing. It's a good sales thing. It's magical, blah, blah. Girls like the color on it. Boys like the color. It's very eye-catching in a bar, pink and blue. How do we tie that in as a story with the fish? And when you have a dinosaur fish, it doesn't really help, right?
what fish did he wanted?
Coelacanth.
I have no idea. what
Coelacanth is like this living dinosaur. It's like 200 million year old fish that lives in the bottom of the ocean. They
He's
only-
still alive?
Yeah, they only rediscovered it, I think, in the late 90s off the coast of Madagascar. And then recently, I think in 2003, they discovered it in a deep trench in Indonesia. And it's a funky fish in itself. It's like the precursor to mankind because it's got legs and it doesn't have like usual
Does it
fishy-
swim or is it like a bottom runner?
It's like a bottom floater. It doesn't do much because its
Like a
metabolism is very slow.
mudsucker kind of fish?
Nah, you can look it up later. But it's a really funky fish, and I get that, but it doesn't look very appetizing to anybody, even to me. Even though the Indonesians do eat it, they call it the oil fish because they rather render the fat from it to have for like oil lamps or whatever, rather than actually eat the flesh because it tastes like shit. So I thought that's not a really good thing for the brand, but Maori wrasse, for anyone that's eaten it, seen it on the table, don't know what it is. For anyone that's dived or has done snorkeling, even snorkeling, in Fiji, you see them around. So it's quite a familiar fish. It's got a good story behind it, so I thought, why not? I like them. Do it.
Yeah, I think it fits in with the branding.
Well, ironically, it fits in very well now with the current social situation around the world, like in America, fluidity. So,
Gender neutral.
fluidity, gender
Fluid.
fluid fish. What do you want?
Yeah, right.
You like to drink and be gender fluid? Here you go.
You never, by the end of the night, you're not sure what you're gonna be.
Exactly.
You're gonna switch over.
Never know. A bit of absinthe, you might switch over. Who knows?
Yeah, your absence is deadly. I've definitely had it deadly in a good way.
Well, depends how much you use of it. It's dangerous stuff if in the wrong hands.
Deadly fun. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's not bad. We might have a little bit of that later.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe. It's a big maybe from the big man.
It's like it's Monday. I'm supposed to I wasn't expecting. I always do these podcasts. I try to do them on
Fridays.
Saturday.
Oh, Saturdays. Huh?
Like Saturday afternoon, we do the podcast,
You have to go heavy. I mean, you can
and then
just
you
have
just,
a gin
then
tonic.
you drink and get fucked off and.
Well, I started my
Well, you've been
festival
on a weekend
the
bender.
last 3 days, man. Everyone's giving me crap beers. Oh, shit. Yeah. I come in here with a hangover, and now my hangover cure is you, apparently.
Cheers to that, dude.
Cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah. What is this little bandana? What is it? Bandanas or something? Quite nice.
Yeah, they're bandanas. So I was trying to find nice coasters.
Explain bandanas to people that don't know what the fuck bandanas are.
Yeah, I'm religious. I keep one with me at all times.
Okay.
So like,
Because a lot of people don't know what bandanas are. They have no idea. I mean, in Australia, it's more like a movement. What we call canteen.
what, bandana?
Yeah, bandanas. So
It's called a canteen.
canteen. So it's like it's a for cancer foundation. So it's like what we do it for. I should say, usually kids and adults they lose their hair during chemotherapy.
So they tie it on their head.
Yeah,
or
tie
something?
on their head to hide the fact that they don't have hair. And
I
it's
see.
also a foundation where you buy the bandana and you're donating to
I
that
see.
society. So it's a big thing in Australia. It's really big in Australia. I don't know. In China, maybe it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, probably not. Yeah.
But I mean, for me, man, I just always keep one in my pocket. It's like it's a fucking man's best friend, dude. You need to blow your
Especially
nose. Blow your
Guangdong,
nose.
man. Guangdong.
If you're sweating your balls off, dude, you just wipe your face.
Why do you wipe your face when you said your balls? Quick question.
If you're sweating your balls, like it's good for
That's
wiping
good.
your face.
Yeah.
Usually if your balls are sweaty, like your face is also,
Very sweaty.
Well,
Well,
it's an expression, you know. So,
I like your expressions. They're good.
and if you want to fucking dry your balls off, it's fucking also convenient for you. Just flip it inside out,
Inside out, back
one
to
side for
front.
the balls, one side for the face, and then you're good to go. But no, I've used it for hundreds of things. Like I've had a friend that like cut himself really bad and it was, tied it
wrapped it
up,
up.
fucking wrapped it up. It was like a bandage, like instant bandage, boom.
Convenient stuff. Yeah.
And then I was trying to find some nice coasters for this table, right? Because every time we drink, it's just
Well, that sound doesn't sound good
Water
either.
City. So I was like, this is perfect, It's,
They're really cool. I like them.
yeah, I mean, like for a coaster, I think it's awesome. So,
There's got a story behind it as well.
and I love it. I always have one. So the one I have is sitting over there, not in my pocket, but
That's the one you wipe your balls with.
it's basically like socks, underwear, bandana.
Okay. Just
And
depends which one you
my-
grab first.
I buy like 30 at a time. So I just have like a stack.
Yeah.
So
Cool stuff.
and then it's great.
Multi-purpose tool.
Totally multi-purpose. So you can blindfold somebody with it
Oh, we're getting kinky now. You only have
If
one
you-
glass.
if you want. Who knows what end of the fish you're gonna be at the end of the night?
Which side of the fish?
Which side of the fish you're gonna grow up as?
Yeah. You're looking a bit empty there. Top you up.
Yes, sir.
You want this one or you want something else?
No, man. This is we
Oh,
just.
so
I like to stick with it.
after lunch, this is a good digestion sort of thing.
The black tea.
Yeah. No, shit, I give myself too much. There we go. That's a bit better.
You want some more shitty tonic?
Nah, please, no shit.
Really?
I just drink straight. The ice will melt a little bit diluted, so I don't have to burn. It's fine.
You're hardcore.
Well, I make this stuff, so I have to taste stuff to still at 90%.
What's the next flavor coming out?
All right, so we just launched Scented Lemon, which is a Guangdong flavor. Blood Orange, which is our most boring gin to date. But I've been asked to make it even more boring gin, apparently.
What you say? Blood orange is the most boring gin?
That's the most boring gin we make, Blood Orange. Don't know if I gave one to you, but
No, I have four in the,
okay.
over there.
So Blood Orange is sort of like the most common gin, you'd say. It's the most easy mixing because Blood Orange works with just about every flavor, every cocktail. But we've been asked to make something that's more closer to vodka now, so we're looking into that. I'm also looking to do something hopefully before the end of the year. Let's see, time, my bad. If time permits, we're looking at maybe doing a floral gin. So I've been getting a lot of requests to do floral gin. I hate floral gins, don't get me wrong. I respect everyone that makes them. It's just, I don't like flowers in my cocktail. I
So
like,
why would you do it if you don't like it?
because a lot of people have asked us to do something, and the market is probably ripe for something like that because none of the other gins in China are really all that floral. So we're looking at doing something. We're working with a couple of different ideas at the moment, but find the right idea. I mean, it's all gin. This is the thing. Gin is fun, but you want to still find a flavor that no gin will ever appeal to everybody. Okay, it doesn't matter what people say. I mean, I hate Bombay. I like Gordon's, and a lot of bartenders will probably punch me with that, even though at the end of the day,
Gordon's is like the cheap dirty gin.
yeah. So
I mean, cheaper than Bombay, right?
well, it depends which supplier you get it from. But if you get like the 40% ABV Gordon's, it's kind of rubbish. If you get 47%, it does work in a lot of cocktails. Reason being, it's got the reason they use Gordon's on board aircraft for your gin tonic is because in a high pressure environment, your taste buds change.
Specifically on an airplane.
Specifically on an airplane.
Okay.
And the higher ABV Gordon's has a lot of juniper oil in it. So it still tastes like a gin and tonic on board the aircraft. Whereas if you use pretty much any other gin that has a low juniper content,
It won't taste like gin and tonic.
it tastes like Cappies. Yeah. So, I respect that fact. But, at the end of the day, everyone has their own gin. I can't say there's never a bad gin. It's just whether somebody likes it or not. So for us to find, a floral profile that fits not just Guangdong, but a lot of people, that's probably our aim right now. So we're working on that. But that's a harder project because, as I said, I don't like floral gins. So
And a floral gin is like flowers, like
so flowery. So
lavender,
no, fuck that. No,
fucking
sorry.
roses,
No, so roses is all right. I mean,
marigolds.
Marigold. Yeah, Hendrix is rose and cucumber. A lot of people like that. It's quite light.
I mean, Hendrix. I mean, like you add rose leaves and cucumber to the
Yeah, no. So
gin.
Hendrix, a lot of
I mean, not like Hendrix is made with rose and cucumber,
No, so
but
Hendrix.
you pour it in a glass and it has rose and cucumber.
No. They make Hendrix with rose and cucumber, but what a lot of people don't realize is, so we do dry gin, okay, and what that means is it's single shot. So we put everything into the still, the alcohol, the gin comes out, and then we dilute it with water to whatever alcohol percentage we want. But when you're looking at something like Hendrix, a lot of people don't realize Hendrix is a compound gin. So it's not single shot. And what that means is they make a gin base, the basic botanicals like juniper, coriander seed, blah, blah. And then they add rose oil and they add cucumber oil because you can't put rose into a still because it denatures and turns to shit. And cucumber, it smells like raw eggs when you distill it. So they have to add that to get that flavor profile.
So there's oils.
They're just oils. Now, there's no right or wrong. A compound gin can be equally good to a single shot dry gin, but you can't call it dry gin due to the manufacturing process. Okay.
So
And they
I'm
don't.
still so confused about what a compound gin is.
So compound gin is like you can make a gin. You can take your base vodka. And you can add juniper oil and all the other oils to it in different ratios.
I get that part.
Blend it up.
Yeah.
And bottle it. That will be a compound.
So
gin.
you don't add water.
Well, you add water to whatever ABV you want the gin at. So
what's the difference?
the difference is when you're distilling, say, a dry gin like this,
Okay.
all your botanicals are boiling in alcohol for a couple of hours, and
Okay,
the
so-
compounds
Got-
work together to create a
Okay.
flavor profile.
So hold on, let me just put this in my own layman terms.
Yeah, sure.
Compound gin. What'd you call this? Single shot?
Dry gin.
Dry gin.
Single shot dry gin.
Single shot dry gin. So you boil the flavors,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that drips out as alcohol.
As gin. As gin.
Okay,
Comes out as gin.
as gin.
Yeah.
Alcohol gin.
Alcohol gin, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you add water to that and bottle it.
Yeah. We age it for a little bit.
What's that?
We age it for a little
Okay.
bit.
Add water to that,
Yeah.
bottle it,
Done.
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 So a compound gin makes the gin.
No. It has base alcohol.
Base
so
alcohol,
vodka.
right.
And you add
The
everything
oils.
to that vodka and mix it, bottle it. So vodka.
So there's no
oil, water.
boiling like
well,
process.
for Hendrix, they obviously do make a base gin.
So the only the boiling is just because you're adding hard ingredients that are not oils or liquids.
No, so the problem is some botanicals, like things like rose or cucumber, cannot be boiled at a high temperature.
Right.
Otherwise, they just turn to shit and the flavor is really, really bad. So the idea is to have a oil distilled in a separate method and then added to the base gin. Or you can do like, Archie Rose or something like this, where you take every single botanical, you distill separately, and then you add a certain percentage of each botanical to your base alcohol, and that makes you a gin. Now, I've had both styles that are really good and really bad. So it's all variable down to personal preference or distiller technique, really. There's no right or wrong. It's just, it's a confusion, because a lot of people think that, every gin is a dry gin. And, if the gin has color, I mean, like we start off with our blue butterfly gin is a dry gin, but as soon as we add the blue butterfly pea flower after distillation, it becomes a distilled gin, not a dry gin. And that's mainly to do with the fact that, we've added something other than water to it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of get it, but I'm still a little bit confused.
100%. how should I explain it a little bit simpler then? I don't know. It's like, so imagine, so there's a set process to make dry gin.
So dry gin, like I said before, is you put a bunch of ingredients inside, you boil it up. Out comes the gin.
Yep.
Add the water, let it sit for a while. Boom, you have your product.
Done. Yeah. And compound is you take a certain percentage of every little oil.
No boiling.
So the boiling can be if you want to make a boring gin and then you add different flavors that you can't add to.
You still have to boil the juniper and all the other things into it, or that's already done.
You can do that if you're making, if your base is a gin, then you make a gin, so you boil it and then you make your gin. Or you can add juniper oil into base alcohol to get the same gin flavor, if that makes sense. So you can make a gin out of just oils, which will be quite rough, but it can be done. Or you can make a gin out of separate distillates, which is also a compound gin. It's not really a dry gin, but it is what it is. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just you get different flavors. So, for instance, this gin, if I were to make it as a compound gin, it would taste completely different because the aldehydes, so the flavoring compounds of gin work in strange ways. So when you're boiling all these botanicals, different molecules.
It's different. It's different because instead of using an oil, you're using the raw material.
Yeah, and that raw material boiling in alcohol combines together to give you a certain flavor profile.
Right.
Now, if you distill every botanical separately and you blend that together, they don't have the chance to interact at high temperatures.
Fuse together.
Yeah, right. Sorry, that's the term I'm looking for. Fuse together, and then give you the flavor profile that you're after. So it'll be not a bad gin. It'll just taste completely different. Yeah.
So have you ever had like a product that you believed in? You're like, fuck, like I'm gonna make Christmas breakfast gin. It's gonna have like cinnamon and nutmeg and whatever. And I'm just using it as like a dumb example, right? No. And you're like, I fully believe in this, right? Like this is gonna be like the next big fucking flavor for the brand.
Yeah.
And then you go try it and just like, total disaster.
Fuck ups are part and parcel at the end of the day with distilling. So there are some things you can distill. There's some things you can't distill. We like playing around with, as you've seen in our little gin distillery in Zhuhai, there's a lot of ingredients that you can play with. There are some things you can distill and there's some things you can't distill. Rose is one of those things I've played around with a lot.
Trying to
distill it in a boiled manner, try and make it work whether it's a vapor path, so not in the pot itself, but in a separate path.
Right.
I tried cold distilling it. I tried a lot of things. And to get that fresh rose profile, the only way I figured out a way of doing it is you actually hang fresh rose petals above the pure grain alcohol and overnight it infuses.
Not inside the alcohol,
no,
above.
So you have to understand. So say you have an industrial 2-ton tank, right?
Right.
So you still have a bit of headspace there. And in that headspace, it's very, very volatile alcohols. So if you put your head in there, you get drunk after 5 seconds, right? But when you put...
Really?
Yeah, you get fucked really fast. Much faster. So sniffing alcohol, you get drunk a lot faster than drinking it, okay? Because it goes directly into your bloodstream. That's not recommended, people, okay? Don't do that. That's why we have safety devices when we distill, okay? So like we've had a few close calls where someone forgets to put on the condensing unit on the still and then the whole room fills up with vapor and then you go, oh, fuck, 5 seconds in there and then you're out of there because static will set it off, right? So
like it's a fire hazard.
Yeah, for super fire hazard. So you have to be careful, right? But yeah, no. So back to the point is if you hang botanicals above that, they infuse into the alcohol without adding color. So it's a similar way that,
kind of like burning them without fire.
So there's no fire. It's just the...
I know, but I'm saying like the alcohol is like leaching out the fucking
the
oils.
flavor compounds, oils,
right.
yeah, but not the color.
Right.
So this is a technique used in the perfume industry as well. They've been using it for many years to get certain flavor compounds that cannot be boiled or cannot be low temperature distilled. It's a very expensive way of doing it, but it does work, and it gives a very good, very natural flavor profile. But it's fucking expensive to do. So we're still thinking about exactly what to do there. But anyway, so that's the future of those 2-3 gins that happen.
You're working on?
Yeah, working on that. Yeah, so not so easy.
So one thing I wanted to actually talk to you about was you have a very unique and strange hobby.
Which one?
Well, the one that I do know about.
Okay.
Right, the ones I don't know about, maybe we can get to later.
All right. Yeah.
But you are an avid insect and arachnid
Arachnid. Yeah.
collector.
Yeah, so I'm an entomologist and a taxonomist. And what
how did this... Okay, sorry. Explain what that is.
Yeah, let's explain to people because they'll be like, what the fuck is that? So I pretty much collect insects. And as a
Dead or alive?
I usually collect them alive and then kill them because, how do you get scientific specimens otherwise, right? They're all labeled up with scientific data. We describe new species. And I have probably one of the larger insect collections in the southern hemisphere. So it's about 1 million specimens now.
In
big.
Australia?
Yeah, in Australia, not in China. Yeah, in Australia. It's quite big. So we do a lot of stuff with the museums, Australian Museum, National Insect Collection in Canberra. The idea is to catalogue as many insect species before they go extinct, because human interference is really doing bad things right now. I mean, a lot of insect species are dying out for unknown reasons, even in remote places. Not necessarily always because of global warming, but also pesticides and shit like that.
Numerous reasons.
Well, the shit that gives us cancer probably kills insects too, I'd say. So
Yeah, probably faster.
probably faster,
Right.
because we're mammals, so at the end of the day. But yeah, so you're asking about how to get into that hobby,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's fucked in itself. So I was very young in Australia, in Chilaptrix colossi, which is a big sort of moth about 6 inches wide, has a huge fluffy caterpillar. It looks like a sausage or a cock with like bristles all over it.
A cock with bristles.
Well, yeah, what it is. And, me being me, I picked it up. I was probably like 6 years old.
It's not like poisonous or dangerous or anything.
That's probably why I have arthritis right now, which is why I like gin, because, juniper helps with arthritis. But yeah, so it's a very poisonous caterpillar. The bristles, if they poke into you, release a venom, and it causes rheumatoid arthritis, and that doesn't go away. You live with that.
And you knew about it when you picked it up, or
Fuck no, I was 6 years old. What do you think?
6 years old?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I popped in a cup, it's like a big sort of...
And did it poke you at that time?
I don't remember. I was too young. But what I do remember, when I had it in this big plastic cup, it had babies. Now, I don't know, maybe you don't know anything about insects, so I'll just explain to everyone. So caterpillars don't have babies. Butterflies and moths lay eggs, which turn into caterpillars, and then that's the babies, right?
Right.
That's like having a 3-year-old giving birth. It doesn't happen, right? Like the larval stage can't give birth, right?
Right.
And I thought that was fascinating, whatever. And those little maggoty things that crawled out of it were actually a parasitic wasp.
Oh shit.
So the caterpillar died the next day, but I had like a cup full of like maggots, and I thought, they get babies, but mum died. I didn't know that mum never became mum because
It was
impossible.
impossible?
It was impossible. And then they all turned into parasitic wasps, and I thought, fuck that, But that was cool as fuck. And then I moved to Taiwan not long after that, and found my first what you call stag beetle, which is like a beetle with big jaws, and it was really cool. Had it as a pet.
Like one of those long fucking jaw kind of things.
Not like well, damn, I don't have my keychain here, but it's sort of like maybe like let's say 4-inch long sort of big black beetle with really cool jaws, and you can feed it for like 6 months on bananas and pineapples and whatever. And that got me hooked. And Taiwan is a land of insects. I mean, even in school, I was the weird kid, collecting shit. And I actually got my other friends to collect stuff for me. Like, if you see something, just put it in a bag or a box or whatever. Give it to
Dead
me.
or alive?
Dead or alive, I don't care. Alive is better, just so I can play with it. But yeah, so that's and then I'm a scientist on that sort of side of things. But that's got nothing to do with the distilling side.
For sure.
People ask me like, why don't you put a fucking butterfly on there instead of fish? I said, yeah, people are scared of butterflies. I know
A butterfly on what?
Sorry.
You said people will ask you why you put a butterfly.
Why don't you put a butterfly on like as a logo instead of
Oh,
fish?
instead of fish.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
and it's a lot of people are surprised. Like a lot of people are scared of butterflies and moths, and I did not know that.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. I think moths maybe I can understand because it's like a nighttime creature, and it's not very beautiful.
I know like 3 guys are like big guys. I mean, they
But
go to the
butterflies,
gym,
I
and
mean,
they're
they look beautiful. They're flying around in daytime,
fucking harmless.
harmless.
Well, they come to your sweat. I mean, if you're sweating, they'll come and drink the salt from your sweat. But I mean, they're pretty little things. They're harmless, really, most of the time.
So when you were starting to get into this hobby, were your parents like they were supportive? They thought you were fucking
No, I think my
weird
parents
because like the story of like Jeffrey Dahmer. right? Like
Yeah,
you know?
well, we're going down that path. No, it's no. So I think my parents, because living in Australia, I mean, you guys, or probably anyone that's not from Australia or has never been to Australia will never understand that pretty much everything in Australia will kill you. Okay, so we got trees that will kill you. The leaves, if you brush up against the leaf, it will
Trees.
kill you. Yeah, they're called stinging trees, and they like if you brush up. I had the unfortunate experience of it, and I know it lasts for years. It's really a painful thing, and if you have a heart
You
condition,
just brush it up.
just like nettles. Nettles.
Yeah, like I for sure.
So imagine a nettle, but on 10,000 times more painful, and to a point where your heart can stop. Yeah.
Holy shit.
So, and they grow all over, just north of Sydney, all the way up to Cairns, which is pretty much up and down the east coast of Australia. They look like any other tree, but they're lethal. They are really bad, and that's not even snakes or spiders or all the other shit that kills you. So, you have to be careful in Australia. And my parents always said, when you pick something up, try use a scooping device or gloves or something.
Don't use your hands.
Don't use your hands. And that was okay. I mean, there's a lot of shit. I mean, there's like saddleback caterpillars. I didn't realize at the time that they can also stop your heart if you get envenomated by them. So yeah, it's you learn to deal with things. And going to Australian Museum very often, I got to speak with professors, and they would say, "Oh, don't touch this, don't touch that." And it was an educational thing, self-education until maybe until my 20s, and then became professional. Yeah,
So when did it become an obsession? When you were young? When you moved to Taiwan?
I think Taiwan was a sort of obsession part because I collected maybe like 100,000 specimens over 7 years there. And I actually still have some undescribed things there, which will be described in the next coming years. So things that are not known to science, which is good. But yeah, Taiwan was like, at the time it was very good because there was no pressure on, oh, I can't catch this, I can't go there, I can't do anything. It was just like, oh, a little kid running around with a butterfly net. Now I do that as a 35-year-old adult. It's fuck, is a white guy doing there running around? Is he a psycho or no? We need to ask him what he's doing. Call the police first.
Right.
So it's it's an interesting hobby, and it's got me travel around the world collecting. Been to many different countries collecting insects. Some countries you need permits for. You can't just like run around and catch whatever the fuck you want and ship it out. You have to do the due diligence. Get the right.
But when
permits.
you would go to other countries as an invited guest, like, hey, come and
No, I would apply. So, like for instance, collecting in Fiji is problematic.
or like would like the government, like Australian government, be behind you and say, hey, like, we support this kid.
The grants in Australia don't extend as far as air tickets and hotel accommodations. So most of the time, they'll give you a little bit if you want, but it's not enough to cover much. I mean. There are a couple of field biologists now, but obviously due to the current pandemic, a lot of their grants have shrunk or dissolved out. So
Right.
you can't go to all the places, foreign places where they always want to go and learn about new species or all this sort of stuff. So it's actually currently it's down to the Americans to do all these expeditions. So America's doing a lot of stuff on that. The British to some extent, but Australia's been really crappy of late, unfortunately.
And you said that you've caught stuff that's undefinable,
Undescribed.
Undescribed.
So what that means is, as we spoke a little bit earlier over lunch, so we use Latin to describe a species. So if the animal is a new species, we define its characteristics in a taxonomic way, and we jot that down. If you catch this beetle, or butterfly, whatever it is, a snake, it has these characteristics to be this species. And if some of those characteristics are different, it's either a mutation or a different species. So at the end of the day, that's the sort of general scientific hierarchy of what we do. So we find a new species. We, if the male and female looks the same, we try and pull out the male's penis and then compare the male's penis to another male's penis, and then
like literally.
they literally underneath the microscope, to make sure that that's a different species. I mean, the penises look the same. It could just be a gender mutation, we don't know, whatever. So yeah, that's why it's very important to have a museum collection that is not just one specimen. A lot of people go, oh, why don't you take a photo? Well, a photo can't really help you too much. I mean, you can't take a DNA sample from a photo. You can't check its penis out from a photo.
Or you can't like view it from both sides.
You can, but it doesn't help because a lot of things, especially fish, genders look the same, and a lot of species can change colors and change size. So, for a long time, if you know Lake Tanganyika, which is an African lake, they have cichlid fish, which is one of the most famous aquarium fish in China and the world. They didn't realize that the dwarf version of the male is not a different species. It's the exact same species, just one grew big, changed color, and one was small and boring. So they thought it was a completely different species. They named it a different species, and DNA showed that.
They're actually the same thing.
Yeah. And on a photo, you can't tell the difference, right? They look like two completely different species. So this is very important to have, at least a small series of every single species in museums around the world, not just in one museum. Because if a museum burns down, you lose that entire, natural history collection. So it's important to have cross-referencing between museums. Unfortunately, that's not happening that much of late. We really need to ramp up that, we share knowledge, data, specimens, all that sort of stuff. But yeah.
So your collection is in your parents' house?
Yeah, so I got a private collection. So that's my sort of taxonomic collection. That's my research collection. At some stage, it'll probably be donated to one of the institutions or split up to different institutions. That's something I've been working on for the last, 20 years at least. So, yeah.
And then part of that you donated to a museum, or it's at a museum?
No, so when we donate specimens, whenever we collect something that is not something that museums have, we know as entomologists, we know what is a common species or what is something unusual or something rare. And in the insect world, rare does not mean it's like a tiger, that there's not many of them. Rare just means we haven't figured out a way of catching it yet. Because you think about it, like, if there's one tiger in a national park, it's not going to be having sex because there's no other tiger to have sex with, right? But insects, they have to breed. So for an insect to exist, it's not a top animal. It has to be quite common. And we found that out with specifically morpho butterflies in South America. The females were almost unheard of. Like, the British Museum maybe had like 2 or 3 specimens of one species. And we recently found now, we caught a female, and we started breeding it in butterfly farms around the world. It's a 50-50 ratio. So males and females are equally common. It's just that in the natural world, in the jungle, the females don't fly around. They just sit there waiting for males to come. So how do you find the female? Okay, it sounds just like people, right? Like, interesting. Females just wait.
Sit around to buy you a drink.
Literally.
Buy you a
free
gym.
drink, and then guess what?
You get to make love and make some babies.
If you're lucky. No, but that's yeah. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, being involved with that, that's something. That's a life passion. It's very expensive, that hobby. Don't get into it because you don't get anything out of it.
I'm gonna imagine, right? So when I picture about like an insect collection, right? I picture like a wood box with like a glass top with like a wood frame.
Yeah,
and
so
there's all these like one needle that like kind of like pins the animal into the space
with a data label underneath telling you where it was caught, when it was caught by
sure,
who.
whatever.
Right?
Yeah. So that's what you have?
Yeah, so each drawer is sort of like, each cabinet is sort of like this sort of size. You got maybe like 25 drawers.
And how many bugs inside this?
Well, I got about 1 million specimens. I don't know how many.
And they're all labeled? They're all?
Yeah, all labeled.
Like this?
So scientific collection is pointless.
So how much of your... So what you rent the space? You put it in your parents' house? Like
no, so they have a special room built in the house for that. So when we built the house, the idea was to...
So your parents built a house and they built you a special bug room.
Yeah, as you do.
Just for...
Yeah.
They're fucking great parents. They support...
Well, I'm the only child. It's just like one child policy. Anyway. No, it is what it is. So no, for me, my parents really support what I do, and I'm happy with that. I'm really grateful for that. It's not every parent would do that for their child. I mean, piano lessons.
And it has to be like a climate controlled room.
Yeah, so it's temperature controlled, humidity controlled, because we, believe it or not, bugs eat dead bugs. So we have. You probably know what they are. Actually, you're probably the only person that knows what that is. So we call them book lice, okay? So if you pick up an old book that doesn't have, has more natural fiber in it, you'll see like these little bugs that eat the pages.
Yeah, they're very
book.
flat.
Yeah.
Those almost
fuckers.
Transparent looking.
Yeah. And they live in high humidity or, wet environments, just like Guangdong. Right. They don't like under 20% humidity. So in the Middle East, you probably won't find them, right? That's why all those scrolls have survived thousands of years, right? Also, it's fucking hot there. But so we have to keep the humidity in control and the temperature as well. So
otherwise, other bugs would come and eat those.
Yeah, and when
samples.
you have a valuable scientific collection, you don't want other bugs to eat them. So, and even now, we still, just talking to my mom the other day, still need to set off, cockroach bombs and stuff to kill all these. We call them sockets. They're sockets, the book lice or whatever. So, and they can be detrimental. Yeah.
I mean, they could probably eat your collection.
They can eat my collection in about 6 months, completely, everything. So this is why museums don't usually. There's a big problem right now. So museums have run out of a lot of funding, so they don't have enough staff to keep track of the collection. So what they do, they just put the collections into huge air-conditioned, 0% humidity rooms and don't let anyone in, unless that person is, especially requesting scientific clearance, and it takes months to get that permit just to go in and have a look at specimen, just to do some DNA work on it, which doesn't help the scientific community, but it is what it is.
And then so they lock it in a room and they bomb the fuck out of it with pesticides.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, you know it. You're probably more likely to die in that room than smoking cigarettes all day long. Like, seriously.
And then you went to school for marine biology.
Yeah, there's a little period of time, and unfortunately, there's a lot.
Why not like insect biology? Why'd you?
Okay, so
because as a kid,
yeah,
you were into collecting bugs and creepy things.
Yeah, so collecting bugs. Let's call them collecting bugs. Bugs are not insects. Bugs are hemipterans. They're completely different.
Okay.
So
they're all bugs to me.
They're all bugs to most people. Yeah. So collecting insects and studying doesn't make money. The only way you can have a decent income is if you become PhD and you have grants from the government. So the government pays you whatever X amount to study, but you have to live, and interest rates and all sorts of shit, and being in the most expensive city in the world doesn't help, right? Like it doesn't cover the rent or anything like that. So unless you can really do that, which is only a handful of people in Australia, it's pretty much impossible. But marine biology has a lot of different factions, so it's a lot more profitable. And then I ended up quitting that and going into real estate. That's how I funded my Chinese venture.
Wait, so you never graduated out of college?
No, I didn't do marine biology, no.
How many years of college did you do?
I got a degree in South Africa for distilling, but not
South
college.
Africa?
College was like 3 months. So nothing. It was just like 3 months, and I just went, yeah, fuck that.
Then you're done.
Yeah, I was just done. I was just like, marine biology it's
so
good.
You're like 18 and done?
Yeah, so I was like 18 and a half. And then I had an opportunity to go to the Middle East, and I took it.
And what'd you do there?
Yeah, real estate.
Real estate in the Middle East.
Tax-free. It's okay. No tax.
Like, somebody was like, hey, this is like a booming fucking place. Come to the Middle East, and we're going to sell houses to rich Australian people.
Rich Arabs and rich other people that come to the Middle East, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, you had no real estate experience or nothing?
I dabbled in it, yeah.
Before?
Yeah, just like a little bit temp stuff, whatever, part-time, whatever.
And how long did that last?
That was a good chunk, yeah. It was like 7 years. Yeah.
7 years doing real estate?
Yeah.
In the Middle East?
Between Middle East and Australia, yeah. That's how I met my wife.
Doing real estate?
Yeah.
Selling her a house?
No, some lovely young secretary came in, and I was just like, off you go.
So she was so you met your wife, she was the secretary of the company?
No, secretary to me, I think it was.
Oh, really?
She's just about giving me a shit eyeball right now. Nah, she was a new employee, and I had the hots for her, so I just went, fuck it. Sorry.
In Australia? In Middle East or Australia?
Nah, Australia. Yeah.
So you were working for an Australian company?
No, so I was working for a British company at the time.
A British company?
I moved to an Australian company.
Then you moved to an Australian company?
Yeah, and then moved to Australia, and then, yeah, that was like, yeah.
And then when she joined the company at the Australian company?
Yeah. But she was like local, so, yeah, I just thought, okay, she was all right. Why not? That was fun.
Did you? First thing you did was show your bug collection?
Ironically, she's looking at me right now. Yeah, so
don't look at her.
No, so
it's okay, you know.
Yeah, so to be honest, yeah, I did some weird shit there. Like insects. I brought some insects into the office, and she's like, "Oh my god, I've never seen a beetle that big." Not the actual beetle, because like
it was alive or dead?
It's dead. It was
okay.
Very large, one of the largest insects in the world. It's almost the size of my gym ball.
Right.
And she's like, "The fuck is that? Get out of my face."
You're like the weirdo, right?
Yeah,
the weirdo.
Yeah, but you have to be honest. Like, being yourself is not being weird. Like, I'm sure if you go overseas, you'll meet other people that like bugs. I mean, I just came back from Taiwan.
I understand. Like, I would consider myself a weird person, but sometimes, like, you have to. I mean, to most people, it's not something that they're.
It's not mainstream.
it's not mainstream, right? That's a very good way to put it. It's not mainstream. So when you bring this fucking bug that's as big as your face to the office, right? Like, why are you even bring it to the office? Like, show it off?
So you have to understand the mentality of it. So
of you, or what do you mean by it?
Of me, the situation, where
like
person I'm talking to.
Like, you wanted to impress this new girl by bringing like this big ass beetle to the office?
To an extent, yeah. So you have to understand, like, how many times have you seen something that someone's done that you just went, I'm speechless. I'm not weirded out. I'm not afraid of it. But you remember it, right? You just go, like my experience, with the caterpillar that gives babies. I mean, even, fucking almost 30 years later, I just go, wow, this is still, one, I shouldn't have picked up the caterpillar, but it's ingrained in your memory.
Two
right?
had babies, and two of the babies were
parasites,
parasitic water, right?
parasites, yeah. So, you remember that. And whenever someone does something, it doesn't have to, like, everyone uses the term weird, but we're all human. I mean, I've seen people do some much weirder shit under the influence of absinthe than anything in the biological world, right? You know? So at the end of the day, like, if you want to, it's just showing off yourself. It's like someone that has tattoos all over themselves and they take the show off at the beach. They're making an impression. Because if you are interested in that, you'll go, oh, what does this tattoo mean? Why is there a flying dildo with a unicorn over it? You know, like, what's the story behind it?
What's the significance of it, right?
The fact is, I'm already approaching you. That means I want to engage with you. And it does. You're showing off, so it's an engagement process, right? It doesn't work in every situation because, let's be honest, I took a woman to my insect collection as like a fourth or fifth date. There was no other date after that, so I learned my lesson after that. So it's like we keep
to what collection? To what?
To my collection room, like to show it.
So
show
you
it
had a date, and it was like the third or fourth date.
Fourth or fifth date, yeah. Things are going well, and then it's just like, yeah, no.
Let me show you my collection.
Yeah, and that didn't work out well.
Yeah, she fucking read the fucking Jeffrey Dahmer books, dude.
Probably, man. But, it's lesson learned. That was a long time ago, but yeah, lesson learned on that one. Yeah. That's when I was young and naive.
But there's a flip side to it, because, dude, I can't remember the movie name, but we the whole company we went over to watch it. It was at the movie theater next door, and it was about this French
perfume.
It wasn't a perfume. It was a French couple.
Okay.
And they were both volcanologists. I guess maybe that's not the right term.
Volcanologists.
Study volcanoes.
Geologists, yes.
But
no. Volcanologist, I think is correct. Yeah.
So yeah. So one was a chemist and one was a geologist. But I think that the person that specifically studies volcanoes is a volcanologist.
I think so. Yeah.
So they're both that, and they met on a blind date. And that's like, like you don't know who you're gonna fall in love with or what kind of passion people are gonna be. Yeah. But if the person, honestly, if that date, even if she had you for a second date, she would never appreciate.
Yeah. So
what you've done or what you've collected. So it's important to find the person that.
They don't have to like what you're doing.
They don't have to like what you're doing.
They just have to accept that if you need to go to the bush for 2 weeks and not switch on your phone.
And appreciate. But beyond that, not just like accept, but also like appreciate that like this is like what you love,
Your
and
passion,
where your passion is, And if it's a liking and a lack of appreciation, if it's acceptance and a lack of appreciation, that's a.
Well, actually, we talked about it the other day when you showed me a really nice old school camera. That it's people have lost touch with reality now. They're too focused with social media, and I guess that goes back to my point that like, why would you bring in two of the world's largest, the world's largest insects into office to show your office colleague?
Or the girl that you fancy.
The girl that you fancy. Well, at the end of the day, she'll either like you for who you are, or she'll go fuck off, or you're weird. And then that's it. Then we want the next one. It is what it is. You just find one eventually. It's just don't give up. Just keep going. It's not easy.
So, the first time you bring this girl, the new office girl, to go see, because eventually you gotta like introduce them to your bug collection, right?
Yeah.
So the first time like you go introduce her to your bug collection, How'd it go? What was like her first like response? Like,
Actually, it was quite good. As we talked about, the whole idea is you have to gauge the room, sort of thing. But yeah, she was more curiosity rather.
so
than,
she was into your foot long beetle.
Yeah, she wanted to look at everything. So like it was like a wonderland. You know, like most people don't. If you've never been into a museum, like the behind the scenes of a museum, you have no idea what they
What the
stored.
archive looks
yeah,
like,
Yeah,
right?
and literally my collection is an archive. So you know, people they get to see different things. They if you like butterflies, you look at butterflies. If you like beetles, you look at beetles or whatever. So yeah, some more good tonic water, I say.
Yeah.
No, but it was fascination because a lot of people don't realize that butterflies can grow pretty big. You know, spiders can grow big. I mean, still a bit strong for you, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
So yeah, it's a fascination because most people they don't see these things out in the wild unless you live in South America or PNG or where the fuck it is. That's something I say.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's like it's a bit of fascination. They get to see different things. They get to ask questions, and that's how you engage with people. If nobody's asking the question, how do you engage with them? I mean, it's just a promotional vector. It's just like selling something. This is good. But if you're not asking the question to engage with the brand, you're probably not purchasing. You're just a static bypasser. You know.
So she was engaged in your collection.
She was very much engaged in my collection. So I thought, okay, maybe take her on a few more dates and see what happens. Yeah, so yeah, that's it.
She ever does she have a favorite specimen in your collection?
No, probably not.
No?
No.
There wasn't like one like butterfly or wood beetle or
I'm sure there's
sticky stick or whatever the
sticky
I don't know, like sticky
stick. Okay, that's a new term I will start to use from now on.
You know, like a
stick insects. Yeah, I think there's more of a respect thing. There's curiosity, bit of respect, and just went, oh yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo. But I don't like to use the term weirdo. He's just different. You know, he's not run of the mill sort of guy. And yeah, pretty butterflies are always good.
I mean, I honestly, I think that she could probably date 1 million men. And you can tell me if this
She'll be pretty busy.
Okay. she would definitely be busy. She could date 1 million men and probably find one that has such a big sticky stick bug collection. Right? I mean, come on. Like, how many people actually have?
You'd be surprised if you go to Japan. Probably like
Okay, we're not talking about Japan. We're talking about Australia.
Australia. Yeah, there's probably like
1 in 1 million.
There's probably about like 500 people I know that are involved in to a different extent. Some are scientists. Some are DNA.
500 people
roughly.
And what's the population of Australia?
Guangzhou,
which is what?
24 million roughly, more or less. Take a couple of million. Guangzhou is the same population as Australia, which is insane.
So 500 people. How many million?
I think 20 or 24 million.
24 million.
Don't
so
quote me on that,
500 people.
Your maths is better than mine, so.
My math's what?
Your maths is better than mine.
No, my math's terrible. I mean, math was like my worst subject.
Two business people saying math is our worst subject.
It was, man. It was the.
I hated math. My math teacher.
I hated math. No,
sorry.
No, you can say whatever you want.
Sorry,
it's okay. Yeah, like actually, like to be honest, like if it wasn't like creative or art related, I hated all the subjects. I mean, I graduated high school with straight D's. Like D's is like the step below F, not even like C, like average, straight D's.
You went DTF.
DTF means what?
Down to fuck.
yeah. But no, like, I mean, the biggest reason why I didn't get good scores in my last year of high school is because I didn't do any homework.
I never did any homework.
So like zero. Like I didn't turn anything in. I fucking.
But you had a passion for the arts.
I did have a passion for the arts, yeah. And
see where that got you, right?
Ignore
school, kiddies.
So
just work hard on what you like to do. Simple.
So like there was like finals week. I'm sure you know, like high school finals week.
We don't really have that. We had that in Australia, but I graduated in Thailand, so it's a different.
So anyways, finals week.
Yeah.
it was like two days. Like one day we'll have all these tests, and then another day I have all these tests. And literally, like my grandfather, who I wasn't living with my parents at the time. I was living with my great grandparents. So, well, not my grandmother, but my grandmother's mother.
That's not bad.
So
Good
my
genetics.
grandfather, great grandfather, I told him, I said, "This make me the strongest cup of coffee you can make with this little drip coffee system, right?" So it's like
Percolator system.
yeah. So he made it. I drank coffee all night, and whatever the subject was, I just basically just looked at every page, try to read like the highlighted, the headlines of that subject. Boom, 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 boom. I got A's in every single final examination. I got F's in my class participation, which means no homework.
Probably a given,
Right. You know?
I was the
And
same.
because the A of the finals and the F of the class participation was like 0 or like 10% or
Average
20%,
out.
right?
It's okay.
And then
It become average.
Put those. It wasn't even average. It was D, below average.
Oh, that's close enough.
So it was graduatable.
Okay.
You know. So
It's not easy. Like at the end of the day, so this is the thing. A lot of people, companies are like, okay, so you've done a lot of things. Why do you choose this path? Why do you choose that path? It's what I feel like doing. So at the end of the day, insects are my passion. Alcohol is my vice. Well, let's be honest. You know, it is what it is. And you know, you try and do your own thing. If anyone tries to pigeonhole you into doing something, like you have to get straight A's, you have to do well in this to get a successful job. Man, I want to hire people right now, right? And the degrees people are coming to me with for the lowest denominator job, I'm like, dude, you're like literally shoveling shit for me, and you got like PhD. But this is a problem in China. They want too much pay without any experience. It's like, you don't have experience, that's fine. I'll give you the experience. You try if you like, you know, great. If you don't like it, it's fine. But don't come to me and say, oh, I want 20 grand a month just because I got a PhD. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't worked anywhere. Like, you haven't even worked in like McDonald's. If you work at McDonald's, you learn something. You learn how to have self-discipline. You learn how to manage other staff members.
you learn systems.
Systems is a term, not manage. Managing is a different thing, but just interacting with other people, learn the system, you know, do what works for you. Don't necessarily, you have the system is a guidance. It doesn't mean you have to follow it 100%. Like if you can find a more efficient process, then you can, you know, do your own way that becomes more efficient. You have more pay, you get, you know, a promotion or whatever. And that's the ideology. And that ideology is still, yeah, lacking worldwide, I think. It's, because listening to you talking is sort of like similar to what I went through. It's, you know, last minute sort of thing. And then, oh yeah, pooped out there, you know, at the end of the day. And, yeah, it's, but at the end of the day, we probably end up in different industries where we were not seeing ourselves going, not down the path of.
Well, for me, it was different.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to do something with design and art and the creativity. So I put my focus on there because like when I signed up for, I had a very different, unique like high school experience. So it was like normally people go through high school for 4 years, right? Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Right, that's like
Doesn't
the
mean anything for Australian, but yeah,
well,
same
yeah,
shit, different day.
for Americans, right?
Yeah,
That's the system. So I actually finished my junior year, which is like the third year. So, but before I even, because I moved to a new city between my second and third year of high school, and before I even signed up for high school classes, I went to the local college. It was like a junior college, right? And my mom helped me forge and fake the documents to put me into art classes.
Good mom. Yeah.
So it was like animation, Photoshop,
Okay.
like photography, very, 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 like stuff I was interested in, right? And then after I was approved and signed up for those classes, and then I went back to where I was supposed to be, the high school, and I talked to the counselor. And I was like, listen, I don't want to do high school anymore. I want to finish this year. I'm already signed up for these 3 college classes. And tell me what I need to do to fucking
get
out.
I'll get out. Yeah.
You know, and so I knew I wanted to be a designer. I took like these classes were very limited in teaching me design, but through the process of my 17, 18, 19, 20, even 20, 21, I met a lot of great designers that kind of, I would say, like were my mentors.
Inspiration mentors.
Yeah, you know, that coached me, guided me, inspired me along the way. And then that's when, and I used to be very into animation, multimedia, like doing like commercials or you know, animated graphics and shit like that. But then when I got the opportunity to be hired as a graphic designer, as a book at a publishing company, a book company, my whole like idea switched about what I wanted to do, and it's because like books are something that are forever, and when you design a book, it's not like a seasonal billboard or a web page that's only going to be around for 2 years.
Crashes or whatever.
Not even crash, but like, you know, every 2 years or 3 years, the web page, you know,
needs refreshment or whatever.
You know, the technology change, the style changes. But like books, it was like once you make a book, it's going to be part of people's lives for multiple generations, not just one. And part of library collections forever.
Just like insect collection.
Just like, yeah, just the same like once you put it there and you take care of it, you know, it's there. And that's why I fell in love with like making books.
So this is what irks me a lot. So this is probably it's a situational thing with modern day society. I mean, you're talking about books being like the natural history collection of, you know, words, languages, photographs, all this sort of stuff that is tangible, right? And for us, it's, you know, we have, you know, insect collections. People say you should take photographs. You shouldn't kill insects. Well, you shouldn't do a lot of things. At the end of the day, we are researchers. We have to do this. We have collections. They have to be upkept. This idea of removing books from society, I mean, you've probably been hearing what's happening around the world, not just stateside, but also in Australia and the UK, that they're removing certain books because they are deemed offensive in the current social
or even
situation.
changing books, right? Like the Huckleberry Finn was a perfect example.
Even Disney things, like the classics. Like, okay, there are some things that in today's society we probably should or shouldn't do, whatever. But, you know, like you're not trying to rewrite history. I mean, it's the same as, you know, yes, I collect butterflies, I kill butterflies. At the end of the day, it is what it is. You take 10 specimens or 20 specimens. I mean, you drive your taxi, you take your Uber down the road, you take your taxi in Shenzhen down the road.
Kill 1,000
you
bugs.
kill 1,000 bugs. And it's just because those bugs are so small, you consider it insignificant.
You don't even notice it.
Or you don't even notice it because you're too busy playing on your fucking WeChat or Facebook, right? So at the end of the day, we shouldn't be changing that part of society. We should still keep that as it's not necessarily a tradition, but for the next generation. And books, we have books from a couple hundred years ago, right? And they're still in as good condition because they're being looked after by the right people, whether they are politically correct,
Or insensitive.
or insensitive, or sexist, or sexualized, or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's part of our human history. And we have to keep history alive for the next generation.
You have to keep history preserved.
Preserved, sorry. No, I lied.
You know?
Sorry, preserved. Preserved the word
You know,
I'm looking
like
at, I lied.
I don't believe that like you should take some author's work and change it because
Definitely not.
You know, we live in a different time. Like even like the most I would say like Tolkien, for example, the Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, right? Many people accuse him of being a racist or writing racist fucking things, but that may be the truth. You
At
know,
that point in time,
you know,
that was acceptable.
but that was his. You know, you cannot like right. You cannot like we're living in our time, and go back to 100 years ago or older and expect somebody to be a part of our time and what is acceptable or not.
Very true, yeah.
You know, like he wrote with his surrounding and circumstances and his life and his views and opinions and accept. I mean, this is literature. This is what he wrote. It's fucking beautiful what he wrote, and you can't like criticize him for whatever reason you want to criticize him.
I think it's also got something to do with the fact that social media in the current day and age is so fast that people forget what happened yesterday, and then they just criticize everything as a overall. What do you call it? I wouldn't say subjugation, but they just make their own opinion straight away and go, oh no, well that doesn't conform to what is now. And what is now is just the last 24 hours. It's not what's happened in the last 6 months or what's happened in the last year or the last 10 years, 50 years.
100 years.
I mean, if we forget what's happened in the last 100 years, I think we're all a bit fucked, right? I mean, we have to, keep that all alive. I mean, it's...
And for me, like, I want to preserve those moments. I wish we can, not that I can do anything about it, but I wish we can preserve those moments of time, appreciate the beauty of those artists of the time, and maybe they're insensitive today, but still appreciate the beauty that they created and the influence that they have in the world. Like if you look at like Mark Twain and Huckleberry Finn and all the books that Mark Twain wrote, you know, it was very fucking racist, very anti-black, you know, always, you know, Negro this and Negro that. But he wrote for his time.
Yeah. And then
you know, like how can you criticize that, you know?
That's the biggest problem right now. People are criticizing things that they don't understand about. Let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people probably have never read Huckleberry Finn, probably have never watched a classic Disney movie, and they just go, oh no, that's racially insensitive. Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's the times, man. Like, you know, the history of, you know, Europe 60 odd years ago is not great. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, you can't just like brush it underneath and then just say, oh, it never happened. I mean, there's a point in time something happened, and, you know, the current situation right now, I mean, we're going through it right now between, you know, two people that speak the same language. So it's, you know, it's something we have to think about. It's you can't just brush it underneath or try and change it or anything like this. History is what it is. You know, it's a moment in time that we have to capture and keep it for, well, as long as we can, I think. Yeah.
And most importantly, as humans, we need to be fucking honest, open, accepting, and just fucking kick ass in our time.
Definitely. Time for some absence.
I think it's time for some fuck. Oh, dude.
You're right.
You know, like I was like,
you're
a
big man. I know you can drink. So.
I was almost, you know, because like I was saying before, like I usually try to do these podcasts on like Saturday, you know, because like
I come here with a 3-day hangover, so welcome.
Well, this is your business, man. Like,
well, this is your business too, I think.
I'm a weekend drinker.
Okay.
I'm a Saturday drinker. I mean, when I had Mambo, I definitely would drink more. So, but now that I don't have Mambo, like my excuse to drink is
when I rock up.
When I'm inviting somebody for the podcast, right? Dude, I got some great gin. Come on my podcast. You can drink for free.
No, you can't.
Oriental Distillery. They sponsor us. I don't know why they do it, but they fucking do it. So just come. We fucking, you know.
Like, it'd be really cool to have somebody in a different field. I mean, we have, you know, book people. We have a weird bug guy now. But someone that's trying to preserve things, whether it's, I mean, we talked about obviously your cassette player here. It doesn't really work. If anyone does.
Actually, this saved a party. To be honest, it saved a party. I'll explain. So I had
a party.
So I used to do so before you even arrived to China. I used to make these amazing hip hop parties in Shenzhen.
Right.
They were fucking bangers. The last party I did was like 1,500 people, all paid tickets. Fucking just ridiculous events.
Before COVID, obviously.
Many years before COVID. So,
yeah.
But so as a appreciation and to gather people together, I used to do house parties at my house. So like all the people who were involved in the party and very, very close friends, I used to invite them over to my house. And we used to have like, I bought these like really expensive like speakers. They're actually like monitors, but anyways, they were very expensive speakers. We fucking blew them out at my fucking small apartment party, right?
Yeah.
So we were trying to figure. So I had this thing already because we bought this thing to make a video, and I went to like the secondhand electronics shop in
Antique
Shenzhen,
store.
you know, like antique store.
Fucking antique
And, you know,
store.
like he said it didn't work, and just, I didn't even care about how much it cost. I just wanted it, right? So I think I spent like 2,000 renminbi for this thing, right? Just for the looks. It wasn't even about like working.
It looks old school. Yeah.
It looks great. You know, it looks really
It
good.
looks really good. Yeah.
So at this house party, the speakers blew out. We had no way to like play music anymore. But I had this boombox next to the fucking. We put this boombox as like a decoration. So the DJ decided to like try the input jack from his DJ console to where input jack on this thing,
Speakers worked.
and it worked.
Yeah. No.
You know,
The
like,
cassette player doesn't work, but the speakers work.
yeah. So at that time, the speaker. I don't know about now. This was many years ago, but. So we were able to finish,
Good
and
story.
the sound was totally. It wasn't like high end sound. It was like very like kind of muffled and
Well, it's old school. Really
old school sound.
Very old
So,
school.
but it was music enough to make people have music during this.
At the end of the day, this is the thing a lot of people lose touch with. Like, I've been to a lot of clubs in China. Obviously, our business, alcohol. And I go to a club, and I don't even feel like being there for 5 minutes. I mean, let's be honest, I'm getting old. Maybe not as old as you, but I'm getting old, right?
You're fucking so young, dude.
Fuck you, I'm not that young. But
You're 33, right?
yeah, 33. But
That's the time I.
yeah, but like I used to go to like techno parties and like rave parties. Like they have like sound systems like walls, right? But
Yeah.
they were not that loud as going to like KTV in China. I'm like, what are people doing?
It's a different kind of loud.
It's a different kind
It's like
of
a
loud.
violating loud as opposed to enjoyable loud.
So like if you're right next to me, like if we have some very strange body contact and I still can't hear you, is that enjoyable? I don't know. Like, what's the point of me being there listening to just white noise and my beer glass is just going off the floor, off the table onto the floor? Like, I don't know. It's I think we need to recalibrate the point of what a party is. A party is supposed to be somewhere where you get to interact with people, and I think here they're trying to avoid interaction. I mean, that's what pubs are in Australia. Pubs are the old school Facebook in Australia. Like, you go to a pub, I don't know,
You mean you
States.
want to go meet people?
You want to go meet people, or you had a shit day. You go there for a drink, and if somebody just another person just rocks up, starts a conversation with you. Doesn't matter whether you like them or you don't like them, or they're not the same religion, they're different
Have some
race
small
or
talk.
whatever. It's small talk, and
And if small talk is good, maybe middle talk, and maybe middle talk is good.
maybe we
Next
have
thing
more
you know,
drinks, or we
they're
become
looking at
best
your
friends.
insect collection.
No, well, it's not always about male female relationship. It can just be about friendship, and
Sure.
Facebook is not about friendship. I mean, let's be honest. You got 10,000 followers. Which one of them? 10,000 friends. Which one of them are actually your friends that you can call up when you're in a bad situation? Maybe one or two, if you're really lucky. So, but if you know people that, oh yeah, I'm in Shenzhen. I can't find a taxi. I know this guy just down the road lives down there. Can I call him up at like midnight or even a little bit earlier, maybe say 11 p.m. Can you help me? If that person doesn't pick up the phone, that's fine. But the rare situation is you have interaction with that person that's deep and meaningful. And that's the same thing about photos and books and collections and all sorts of stuff that we have to, as a society, maybe try and push more for deeper, more meaningful interaction. I know, like even me, when I order food, I'd rather not talk to somebody. I just order food on the QR code. But that shit probably has to change a little bit.
I much prefer order from a menu.
Okay.
Like I like to have that interaction between the.
Okay, so you're different to me. Maybe it's because I spend time, in a lot of places, or maybe here in China. I don't know. Like I do like the QR thing that I just like don't need to talk to you, or there's no sucking up. I need to pay you a tip, or whatever. I just QR code, and then it is what it is. But I think we need to improve the social interaction with people. We don't need to be so standoffish. If somebody's injured, we should just go ask what's happening. Are you okay?
Yeah, like I don't know how you grew up. Maybe you grew up similar to me, but like and I've talked about this before on the podcast, is like I'm very grateful I grew up in a time where there was no internet.
Yeah, hashtag me too.
But you grew up in a
See what I
time where
did?
like internet was like just starting when you were about 10.
Yeah, but I'm not a social media person. That's why you see I have virtually zero.
So I have a bug collection.
That's like a bug collection, man. Like that's my social media.
You know, like I'm so grateful that like I didn't have any of that shit, and none of that shit was available. You know, like if you wanted to fucking call your friend, you had to call the house line. If they
Landline.
weren't there, you have to
Mom
leave
picks up, dad picks up.
it. Right?
Fuck.
You know, like hey,
Yeah.
is fucking Jimmy.
No, you call up a girl and then the dad answers. Who the fuck are you? What do you want?
Oh man, I'm her English fucking classmate, whatever.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm the guy that introduced her to a fucking foot long beetle.
Big beetle.
Big beetle. So we're gonna pour one more gin drink.
Okay. Oh wow, you're going heavy on that one.
Yeah, without ice.
All right, all good.
With some tonic.
I don't need tonic, especially not that tonic. I love you, but that tonic, Jesus Christ.
Can you explain why you don't like this tonic?
All right. For starters, the quinine content is about 0 in that.
So the what? You gotta get it.
Sorry, okay. So
Slow down a little bit.
Let's explain tonic water. So tonic water is, it's contains quinine or quinine sulfide, which is what the industrial version of it is. It's a bittering agent used many years ago to cure malaria, all those other diseases, whatever. There's a way of killing parasites in the human body. Okay, it kills a lot of worms. It's a good dewormer. Blah blah. Tastes like shit though, so it's bitter as fuck. And what they did, they decided to mix it with gin, some soda water, some sugar. That's how you got your gin tonic, you could say. Schweppes is not famous for using a very high quinine or any quinine content in their Schweppes. So the bittering agent is more from citric acid than from quinine. Doesn't really taste like tonic water, but it's really good on board a flight at 26,000 meters. Very good with Gordon's gin. Mix it together. It tastes like gin tonic. Perfect. But no, we prefer to use something a little bit dry, a little bit less sweet, a little bit more quinine forward.
Like Watson's.
Like Watson's. Actually, Watson's, if you take a can of your Schweppes here, you pour it next to Watson's, and you use a UV torch, like a 365 nanometer UV torch, like what you call a black light,
Right.
Watson's will glow like no tomorrow. So there's a lot of quinine in there because quinine glows in the dark, right? So, yeah. But I'm not disrespecting the fact you have Schweppes.
No, because we actually talked about this before, and I was asking like what kind of like because I wanted to respect your brand and make sure I drink this.
It's not a problem actually. To be honest, you can drink it with whatever you want. It's fine.
No, I understand that.
Coke if you want.
But like, I wanted to know from the master,
I'm not master.
from the brand owner,
Uh-huh.
from the distiller.
Distiller.
Okay. So from the distiller, what kind of tonic water I need to use? And then he was like, do not use Schweppes because of quinine. I don't know.
Quinine, yeah.
Quinine.
Quinine sulfate content is quite low.
So he said, do not use this brand because it doesn't have quinine. But at the time, I already purchased this and I ordered three cases.
It's all right. You'll go through it soon enough.
So when this is done, we're gonna switch to a better brand,
Watson's.
Watson's.
I don't promote my Watson's, by the way. It's just we use it a lot because it's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit tart, it's got good quinine content. It gives you a fairly authentic gin tonic. You can use Cappy if you want to spend money. You can use Fever Tree, whatever. But at the end of the day, gin's meant to be drunk, not sipped. If you want to sip, drink a whiskey. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
That's a healthy pour, bro. Pretty healthy.
Yeah, super healthy. Too healthy for me. I gotta go with this. So, you have some amazing products.
Thank you.
Your gin is fantastic.
It's okay.
For me, as a non-consumer of anything, I don't like.
Seems to be a good consumer of gin.
I like to drink gin, but it doesn't mean I know what's good gin. I do not know what's good gin.
There's no such thing as a good product, full stop. It's about what you like. And this is what people around the world have to realize, that drink for yourself what you like to drink. If people say you shouldn't be drinking Prosecco and jam, mixed together, stuff them. Drink what you like. If you don't like craft beer, don't drink craft beer. Drink water. If you like to drink something that maybe doesn't conform to convention, tell people to stuff it. Just drink what you like. If you want to drink red wine when other people are drinking beer, then drink red wine. There's no right or wrong. You can drink cask wine if you want, like out of a box. Nobody's going to judge you. Otherwise, change your friends. Simple. Drink what you like. Yeah?
But the one thing that I did come to realize with your product, and this is something that you told me, was that a lot of alcohol that you drink has methanol in it.
Yep.
And your product doesn't.
No. So.
And that's a big contributor to how you feel next day, and with your headache.
Yeah. So generally speaking, gin and vodka doesn't give you a hangover because it's been distilled to a high enough proof that's removed all the methanol, or a very large proportion of it. So you can drink an entire bowl of gin, as we're going through now. You're more likely to have alcohol poisoning, which is a different thing altogether, than a hangover. Alcohol poisoning, you probably have to go to a hospital, get your stomach pumped and all that sort of stuff. Methanol poisoning is when you go blind or you have a hangover and all this sort of stuff. It's not great. Now, this is a difference. So when people drink vodka, like Russians, Ukrainians, they drink a lot of vodka. You're right there, buddy? Let me grab your tissue right there. Grab your little tissue there. So vodka doesn't have any methanol. So Russians can drink that shit all day and then wake up the next day and they'll be fine. They'll be a little bit rough, but they'll be fine.
There's no methanol.
There's very little methanol in there, so you'd have to drink a lot. The alcohol will kill you before the methanol does in vodka. But in terms of things like baijiu and tequila, so a lot of people come to me and say, "Oh, Andy, your gin doesn't have the energy that baijiu has." I said, "Yeah, because it doesn't have any methanol. So it's not going to give you the same euphoric effect. The idea is you're drinking a gin because you like the flavor. It's not because you want to get high off it." And
so methanol makes you feel like
high. So it gives
more
you
more drunk, or more.
If it gives you an energetic feeling. So like this is why baijiu is
either in a happy way or a violent way or some kind of an energetic way.
In an energetic way. So like if you're in a business meeting and baijiu is at a table, you always know where that night will end up. Generally speaking, we all know what's
We've all been there.
We've all been there. So it's a sort of a thing we try to avoid in gin and vodka. It is found in whiskey to some extent, which is why we barrel age whiskey, so methanol evaporates out. So that's the reason why older whiskey doesn't give you a hangover and young whiskey does. It's also the same reason that baijiu, that is aged in terracotta pots for 20 years, is deemed very high quality because it doesn't give you a hangover. It's only because the methanol is evaporated over 30 years. If you try a new baijiu, you'll have a bloody hangover. And it's the same with tequila. I mean, young tequila, yeah, it gives you a good buzz, but it'll give you a rotten hangover, right? But aged tequila, especially barrel-aged tequila, yeah, you're doing okay. You won't have a methanol hangover. So methanol is the one thing that gives you hangovers, pretty much.
And I've drank a lot of your stuff.
You're doing okay.
I've been drunk many times on your product.
I don't want to cheers to that, but
But the thing I appreciate the most is that when I stick to your product as my drink of choice for the night, I wake up much more refreshed.
I don't think you wake up refreshed, but you don't feel as what we call
hungover,
hair of the dog or hungover. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's not just because of our alcohol. It's also the fact that you're sticking to one drink, and this is a very important point for anyone that's watching or listening. Stop mixing your drinks. There's no reason to mix red wine with whiskey or gin or anything else. Just if you're sticking to beer, stick to beer. If you're sticking to gin, stick to gin. If you like wine, stick to wine in a sitting. Otherwise, you mix things, your body can't really digest methanol and sugar in the right way, and you'll end up with a hangover.